Hello children, welcome to the online EduClass session for class 6 chapter number 8 body movements. The ability of any organism to change position by using their body parts is called movement. Whether you are walking, drinking, playing, blinking, dancing, etc. Bones in our body are hard and rigid and form the framework that supports the whole body. Skeleton is internal structure in the organism which helps in bringing about the movement. It contains 206 bones, each playing a distinct yet important task along with the cartilages. Now the question is, what are cartilages? Actually, cartilages are the comparatively soft and elastic structures which are the part of a skeleton, but they are not as hard as bones. They are found in the upper part of the ear, tip of the nose and at the tip of the long bones. There are about 650 muscles which are attached to various bones in our body, and the muscles and bones together bring about a movement. Muscles are part of the body that helps in movement, and they are attached to bones like in humans, or they are not attached to any bones like in earthworms. The skeleton is now classified into two main parts, the axial and the appendicular. Axial skeleton comprises of central part like skull, spine, ribs, and the appendicular skeleton comprises of limbs. Limbs means arms or legs of any animal. So children, let's first start discussing the skull. Skull or the skeletal framework of the head is composed of bones or cartilages which form a unit that protects the control unit of our body, that is brain, and some sense organs also. In humans, the base of skull has a central opening to admit the spinal cord also. Spinal cord is actually the nerve tract of vertebrae extending from the base of the brain through the canal of the spinal column. It is composed of too many of the nerve fibers which mediate reflex actions and that transmit impulses to and fro the brain. The bones protecting the spine are called the vertebral column, made up of many small bones called vertebra. These vertebrae are 33 in number. Rib cage joins to these vertebrae. The lower 9 vertebrae are fused in adults, 5 in the sacral portion and 4 in the tailbone. There are 7 vertebrae in the cervical area just below the skull, 12 in the thoracic area where our rib cage or the ribs are connected to spinal cord, 5 in the lumbar area behind our stomach and intestine, sacral 5 which is fused or stuck together, and few of them, 4 of them at the coccyx or the tailbones. The sternum and the rib cage constitute the chest bones. If the backbone was made up of single long bone, just think what we'll be able to do. We are not able to do all these tasks, or we are not able to perform any of these tasks, I must say, because all these tasks which are being performed are due to the flexibility of our backbone. So by here we can say that backbone is responsible for the flexible body we have. As the backbone is attached at the skull on the top, same way it is attached at the pelvic girdle at the bottom. The bony pelvis has 2 hip bones which is called pelvic bones and the sacrum and the coccyx. It is strong and rigid and it is adapted to serve a number of roles in human body. The most important function being transfer of weight from the upper axial skeleton to the lower appendicular parts of the skeleton, especially during the movement, and provide attachment for number of muscles and ligaments for movement or motion. When we breathe deeply, if you have observed your rhythm, you would have found that something moves when you breathe. What is it actually? This is our rib cage, which moves with the inhalation and exhalation. And it is called a cage because it protects our very important and delicate organs called heart and lungs. The ribs are 12 pairs of thin but very strong bones, I must say, of which 10 pairs are attached to the backbone on the back side and breastbone on the front side, which we also call sternum. Only the last two pairs of ribs, that is 11th and the 12th one, are not connected to the breastbone or the sternum in the front, and that is why they are known as floating bones. Sternum can be felt as a flat structure at the middle of the chest. You can touch your own and you can observe that. Actually, if we observe our own body closely, then we will find that except brain, all the important organs which are required for our survival are between shoulder and the pelvic girdle. The girdle near shoulder is known as pectoral girdle, and both these girdles means a round or a boundary, or you can say a particular structure which is providing a protective covering to something. So these girdles tend to protect all vital organs inside them, isn't it? Yeah. Once you stand straight and try to touch your back, you found something? There is some flat bony inside and it is 2 in number on both sides of your shoulder. Actually, this flat bony structure is the shoulder blade or bones, which we also call scapula. It is a triangular shaped flat bone which is connected to the body by mostly muscles. The shoulder is one of the largest and most complex joints in our body, and it is formed where the upper arm fits into the scapula or the shoulder blade like a ball and socket, that we will discuss a little later. Other important bones in the shoulder include the clavicle, or we can call it collarbone. It is just near the neck at the collar region. The arms are the upper limbs of our body. Upper arm includes shoulder as well as the area between shoulder and elbow joint. So we can say arm consists of 4 main parts: upper arm, forearm, wrist and hand. The bones of the upper arm include the scapula or the shoulder blade. Secondly, the clavicle or the collar bone. The humerus is a long bone in the upper arm. It is located between the scapula and the elbow joint. Many muscles and ligaments in the arm are attached to the humerus. This humerus or the upper arm fits relatively loosely into the shoulder joint. This gives the shoulder a wide range of motion. Now, our elbow. It is present between upper and forearm. It swings at an angle of 180 degrees in one direction to extend the forearm, and it also helps to turn the forearm at a point where the parallel bones in the forearm radius and ulna meet with each other. The forearm is the region of the upper limb between the elbow and the wrist. The forearm contains 2 long bones, radius and ulna, forming the joint. The forearm can be brought closer and away from the upper arm due to the movement at the elbow. Right? Now, the forearm can be rotated at the palm region also, so that the hand rotates inward and outward. It helps to distribute force from upper part of the arm to the rest of the skeleton. We can see our hands in few segments: fingers or digits, second palm, third wrist, and now let's discuss it in little detail. Fingers or digits extend from the palm or region up to the tips. and they make possible for humans to grip the smallest of any objects. You are picking something or you are holding something, that is due to the fingers or digits. Palm is the bottom of the body of the hand. Okay. Wrist is the connection point between arm and the hand. The wrist enables hand movements and they are made up of group of bones, and this group of bones are known as carpals. Each hand consists of 19 bones. Palm includes 5 metacarpals. Each finger is made up of phalanges and they are all connected by series of ligaments. Each fingertip contains a fingernail. These are made up of keratin, a very tough protein which also makes our hair, scales and claws of reptiles, feathers, claws and beaks of birds, etc. Now coming to the lower limbs of the body, they actually provide the most important function, that is the movement. Each leg contains 5 regions again: upper leg, knee, lower leg, ankle and foot. The upper leg is often called thigh. This is the area from hip to knee in each leg, and the bone which is inside is the longest and the strongest bone called femur. It accounts for about quarter of anyone's height. Its function is to support the weight of the body and allow the motion of the leg. Now, knee joins the upper leg and the lower leg, and it is also the largest joint in our body. Bearing the weight of the upper body, knee allows for walking, running, jumping, etc. It also allows for rotation and pivoting. And the bone inside is known as patella or the kneecap, and it serves as a point of attachment of different tendons and ligaments and helps in protecting them from any type of damage. Now, the lower leg, it extends from knee to the ankle. This area is commonly referred as calf. There are 2 bones at the leg region. First is tibia, also called shin bone. It is longer of the 2 bones and it acts as main weight bearer. Second is fibula. Fibula is located next to tibia and mainly serves as the attachment point of different muscles of the lower leg. Okay. So, the long bones like humerus, radius, ulna, tibia, fibula, they all are helping to support the weight of the body. Now coming to the ankle. It is the joint that connects the lower leg to the foot. Its main function is to allow for flexible motion of the foot. Ankle is made up of some bones like talus along with tibia and fibula from the calf region. A group of ligaments help to stabilize the ankle and prevent it from turning too far inward or outward. The carpals are located in wrist and tarsals are located in ankles. They are the examples of short bones in our body. So children, here I end today's video. In the next part, we will discuss joints which bring flexibility in our body and avoid from being a robot. Flexibility is all about being ready to learn, children. So be flexible, creative and productive in learning. Thank you.